Good morning. Welcome to the CalRecycle public meeting. We will get started in just a few minutes. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the March public meeting. I'm Maria West, Communications Director for CalRecycle. Today's live update is designed to serve Californians with accessible, inclusive, and plain language information about CalRecycle programs, actions, and priorities. We welcome your feedback as we continue to improve our public meetings. Before we get started this morning, a quick mention to those who wish to submit questions and comments on an agenda item. Please send them to the public comment portal. And we actually have mics in the building, but we're not expecting too many questions in the building, but we will have people walk up to the mic to give a question or comment at the end. So for the public comments portal, just go to CalRecycle's homepage. From the top menu bar, select Get Involved, and then Public Meeting. In the text near the bottom of the page, click Public Comment Portal. And then from the drop-down menu, select the first option, Monthly Public Meeting, to submit your question or comment. We'll address those submissions during the public comment period a little later. Our first agenda item today is the Director's Report. Director Rachel Mackey-Wagner joins us now with some important updates. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for the public meeting. It is a great pleasure to be with you. Some of you or one of you in person and the rest of you remotely. First and foremost, just want to again thank everyone for their ongoing engagement with CalRecycle. We have a lot of very important and exciting updates to bring today on the various programs that CalRecycle has the honor, privilege, and responsibility to run. First and foremost, I want to highlight that we will have quite a few updates related to the circular economy and our extended producer responsibility programs. I'm so incredibly impressed and proud of the work that CalRecycle is doing with our private partners, our local partners, to really, truly bring about a true circular economy here in California. You will be hearing today about our pharma and sharps work as we launch the first ever statewide pharma sharps EPR program with our partners in the pharmaceutical and retail industry. You will be hearing about the incredible progress that is happening with the implementation of our organics recycling statutes and the work that we are doing in incredible hand-in-hand partnership with our local jurisdictions, and really incredibly just want to applaud the work that our local governments are doing to implement both 1826 and 1383 to bring about true organic recycling here in California. And while I don't know that we will be hearing a lot of update on the beverage container recycling program today, I do want to highlight it as something that is with the ongoing discussions that we are having with the legislature around the budget implementation of this program. It is truly an opportunity for us to look at how can we improve this program to better serve our consumers. So again, just want to say thank you to all of our stakeholders who work with our recycling programs, with our extended producer responsibility programs, and have been important partners in helping us be more and more successful every day in achieving a true circular economy. We are just getting started on the work that needs to be done here, but I have incredible optimism because of those partnerships and the creative problem solving that is happening inside of these programs. Second, I want to mention our debris removal program. Again, an area of incredible pride for the department. As an update to all of you, we are nearly done, or I shouldn't say that, I don't want to jinx us. We are nearing a major milestone in our cleanup efforts in the 2021 wildfires. We are 99% done with the private properties enrolled in the state managed debris removal program. 93% of the properties are finished in terms of their debris removal, and 87% of the hazard trees have been cleared from the 2021 fires. This is an incredible operation. These operations are incredibly challenging for both our contractors and for our state personnel to implement, and I wanted to share this update with all of you today because of the incredible progress that we've been able to make since those fires commenced in late 2021. And we are hoping to be completely finished within July, unfortunately and fortunately, in time for the next fire season. Additionally, want to highlight the evolution in this program and the growth that we are making in this program, and how for the 2022 fire season, we will be even more ready to quickly respond and help communities recover. And CalRecycle has been working with our partners at OES and DGS to execute a master services agreement for assessment and monitoring, and we have 8 contractors that are prepared to deploy on our MSA list. Additionally, CalRecycle has advertised and received applications for our pre-qualified bidder list for our debris contractors. And for those of you who are stakeholders in this program, you know that this is a really major accomplishment. We have 41 applications to pre-qualify debris removal contractors for the strengthen our recovery response operations. We will be publishing that list by July 1st of the final candidates for our debris removal contractors. I'm very, very excited to say that when and if our next fire season takes place, we will be the best prepared that we've ever been. And finally, I would like to thank the Statewide Commission on Curbside Recycling and Market Development for the incredible work and thoughtful recommendations that they have made to help California achieve our ambitious recycling goals. Over the last 2 years, the Recycling Commission has had 40+ meetings and has submitted their final, fourth and final policy recommendation from the commission just, I think, this week or last week. And there were 17 members of this commission who, over the last 2 years during the pandemic, found a way to creatively meet and conduct meetings remotely to really work together to come to consensus on some important recommendations that they've made, and really, I think, help highlight some of the important issues and challenges that we have before us in meeting our recycling goals. So we will be, they are finalizing that final report, and as we move into the next phase of the commission, I have asked commissioners who would like to continue to serve to submit a letter directly to me and to Zoe Heller. Additionally, anybody else who represents one of the stakeholder groups as specified in the statute who would like to participate in the commission to let me know by official letter. With that, Maria, thanks so much, and look forward to this meeting.
Thanks, Rachel. California is nearing a milestone. Less than a year after 2021 wildfires were extinguished, almost all of the ash and debris has been removed from over 1,700 private properties so that families can begin rebuilding. Deputy Director Tina Walker has a report on the end of the 2021 debris operations and preparations for this year's wildfire season. Good morning, Tina.
Thank you, Maria. Our deployment following the 2021 wildland fire siege was the most expeditious rollout of personnel resources in state history, thanks to the years of experience and our collaboration with state, federal, and local partners. Let's take a look at the progress made on our current disaster debris removal operations. We've been looking at the 15 counties which define our operational area. But this footprint also represents the 18 separate fire incidents that ravaged the state in 2021. Everything from the geographically expansive fires like Dixie and Caldor to the smaller but highly destructive fires like Clear Lake's Cache Fire and Colfax's River Fire. The recovery effort for each fire event requires unique staffing and strategies, flexible enough to address the challenges we face once we get on scene. And over the course of the last 2 years, we've applied what we have learned to the development of a program that is responsive and adaptive to the local government recovery priorities. Parcels impacted by the Cache and River fires are clean and back in the hands of their owners and ready for redevelopment. And we're 99% complete on the Dixie Fire parcels. We're also 99% complete on private property parcels impacted by the Caldor Fire, and will soon begin removing debris remaining from private cabins located on U.S. Forest Service land in El Dorado County. This is a special inclusion into our state program approved by FEMA, and the additional work will require a short extension to our project timeline, but CalRecycle looks forward to meeting the needs of individuals and the community. Disaster debris removal is a critical first step to rebuilding communities, but we can't do this alone. We depend on our partners at FEMA for federal policy guidance and the leadership and oversight provided by the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services. And as Director Monty Wagner mentioned, the state has instituted new procedures which will ensure an even faster deployment of crews in the years to come. Our master services agreements for our assessment and monitoring consultant and our pre-qualified bidders list for contractors will significantly reduce contract execution time and issuances of notices to proceed to our contracted crews. And the addition of our field operations section dedicated to operational oversight and planning will ensure continuity of operations from activation to demobilization. The disaster debris removal and recovery operation has in less than 3 years grown from a small band of state personnel volunteers to a fully staffed, technically diverse organization that is operationally prepared and ready to support the state's community resiliency and disaster recovery missions. Back to you, Maria.
Thank you, Tina. We hope many of you were able to attend last month's Circular Economy Symposium. If you could not, the recording and presentation are linked on CalRecycle's homepage. Over 3,000 legislators, manufacturers, and other stakeholders saw research at the symposium that showed that California can unlock $142 billion in economic value by 2030 and create 128,000 green jobs by designing our products for reuse and building recycling and remanufacturing operations in our state. At the symposium, we shared this video to explain how our state is working to turn trash into California's next boom industry. And please be patient with technical as we get there it is.
From fields
We can't make enough compost to serve the valley right now.
to manufacturing plants,
We're hiring like crazy.
trailblazers are turning trash into California's next innovation boom, creating new jobs, new industries, and new money from what used to be waste.
There's about 1.3, 1.4 million pounds of trash in this yard that would have ended up in our landfill. It's going to get a second chance in life, and it's going to become products.
It's an essential part of the circular economy, a system where every product and resource, whether it's food, clothes, buildings, or vehicles, everything is intentionally designed to last as long as possible, and at the end of its use, cycle back into the system for a valuable next life.
This is such an exciting opportunity for California.
Eliminating waste by maximizing resources is not a new idea.
Our parents and grandparents grew up in an age of reuse, fixing things and making less trash.
The promise of a simpler lifestyle came with new products designed to be used once and continually replaced. While this disposable economy brought us convenience, it came at a cost. Each minute, a garbage truck worth of plastic winds up in the ocean. Our coasts and communities are overwhelmed by trash. Microplastics are invading our food and water supply, even our bodies. Our waste emissions from vehicles, factories, and landfills creates a thickening blanket of pollution that's overheating our planet and fueling climate extremes like California's worst wildfire season, the hottest summer ever recorded, and storms like the massive bomb cyclone that drenched the San Francisco Bay Area.
There is no more time to wait. Our planet needs us to take on trash pollution.
With our children's future at stake, California is building its circular economy on a strong foundation of environmental leadership, like the bottle bill that created jobs and cut litter by recycling 454 billion bottles and cans, and new recycled content requirements to boost markets. Big beverage makers are already pledging to go reusable or 100% recyclable with their packaging. Companies are moving towards sustainable choices to meet new standards for reusable, recyclable, or compostable food packaging at state facilities. Even Starbucks has announced a plan to eliminate single-use cups.
This is, looking like soil.
And California is turning trashed food scraps, paper, cardboard, and yard waste into valuable new products like renewable biofuel or compost, a superfood for dirt that helps soil retain more water, nourish more crops, and pull planet-heating carbon from the air.
To have healthy air, we need healthy plants and healthy trees. They will not be healthy in soils that have been baked dry and have had no organic matter returned to them after years.
Extended producer responsibility programs for mattresses, paint, carpet, and now pharmaceutical and sharps waste requires industries to manage their own materials once consumers are finished using them.
Instead of landfilling our waste, we can collect it and make it into new products.
CalRecycle's new Office of Innovation aims to attract and support even more green businesses as part of California's transition to a fully circular economy.
Innovation is what California does best.
Modern technology has already given us digital versions of products like music, movies, books, magazines, notepads, and maps. Sharing economies for transportation and lodging. Discussions of circular solutions like subscriptions for goods like appliances and electronics.
Sure, the eco strips are dehydrated liquid less detergent.
And concentrated cleaning products that require little to no packaging. Services that turn consumers into customers that companies continue to serve with repairs.
As the 5th largest economy in the world, California is looked to as an environmental leader. We show the rest of the world how to make the future better and safer.
Instead of filling our planet with waste, we can design our financial future to reduce, reuse, and remanufacture our materials, turning trash into America's next boom industry.
California's last budget included $270 million in new circular economy investments. The department is working to get that funding into our communities as quickly as possible to support local programs that cut pollution and create green jobs. Today we have updates on the new recycling market development zone loans, the first round of SB 1383 local assistance grants awarded to 393 jurisdictions, and our Community Compost for Green Spaces grant. Deputy Director Zoe Heller joins us now with new information on these programs and a closer look at local progress with SB 1383 implementation.
Thanks so much, Maria. We are now 6 months into California's climate law to cut landfill methane emissions through organics recycling and food rescue. CalRecycle is proud to see so much incredible progress in our local communities. We are seeing implementation of food scrap collection programs for residents and businesses. The Los Angeles County cities of Hawaiian Gardens and La Mirada launched a 3-container collection system in 2022 that allow residents to collect food scraps and yard waste in their green curbside containers. Many jurisdictions have collection programs in place, and more are coming online as we speak. We are also seeing new and expanded facilities to help communities turn their food scraps and yard waste into compost and biofuel. The city of Riverside is making upgrades to its Jurupa Valley transfer station and renovating an unused digester at its wastewater treatment plant to turn over 17,000 tons of organics that would have been landfilled and instead turning them into biogas. On top of reducing pollution, the upgrades will create at least 9 jobs with benefits in that community. The Monterey Regional Waste Management District is modernizing its compost operation to handle more food scraps and green waste. The upgraded technology will improve local air quality and reduce climate pollution by turning more organic waste into compost that helps soil retain more water, nourish more crops, and pull planet-heating carbon out of the atmosphere. Jurisdictions are implementing edible food recovery programs to get unsold food to the 1 in 5 Californians who worry about finding their next meal. The Yurok tribe is launching a program to distribute surplus food to tribal members and prevent food waste in Del Norte and Humboldt counties through educational events on food preservation. These efforts include both modern and traditional food preservation methods like smokehouses. Fresno Metro Ministry is expanding its food rescue and distribution program to more schools, tribal entities, and community organizations in Fresno, Madera, Kings, Tulare, and Kern counties. CalRecycle is very excited to see jurisdictions sharing their success stories, like how they're gearing up for reporting, inspections, and record-keeping requirements, and the innovative ways jurisdictions are meeting their procurement requirements. We've seen so much information sharing between jurisdictions during CalRecycle webinars, and would love to hear suggestions about future webinars and resources that would benefit our cities, counties, and special districts. Representatives from the San Mateo County community of Atherton and the Los Angeles County community of Claremont spoke with our Public Affairs Office about their program implementation. Take a listen to some of what they had to say.
We have been working along with all of the cities in San Mateo County to try to come up with some global solutions for helping us deal with all of its requirements, including the procurement requirements. And so the county's Resource Conservation District did a great job in working with a lot of those stakeholders on the coast and have come up with a countywide compost brokerage program. And under that program, the county will find a home for a significant amount of compost generated from the jurisdictions throughout San Mateo County. We have really appreciated the partnership with CalRecycle, your online tools and your old-fashioned hand-holding, helping us navigate all of the requirements, reporting, and otherwise on 1383, and all the great informational tutorials and videos and workshops.
We've been doing education and outreach about 1826 and 1383 for quite a while. We went with a bundled rate approach. We already had that set up for our recycling programs. From 1826, we had already a good customer base on the commercial side. As part of our rollout citywide prior to January 1st, we commissioned and produced a new trifold brochure. Really provides a synopsis on all of our sanitation services, but focuses primarily on how to go about sorting between the 3 containers. So what goes in the trash, what goes in the green container, now the organics container, and what goes in the recycling.
Be sure to sign up for our SLCP listserv for new webinars and resources available to help jurisdictions succeed. CalRecycle approved the first round of funding for SB 1383 local assistance grants in May. Currently, checks totaling $41.7 million are being sent out to the 393 jurisdictions to create or enhance their local programs. San Diego County will use their funds to boost education and outreach to residents and businesses through site inspections, technical assistance, promotional materials, and the collection of organics in recycling collection bins. The Los Angeles area communities of Southgate, Lakewood, Paramount, and Linwood now have funds to provide organics collection containers to city facilities and countertop kitchen waste bins to residents. Jurisdictions will also procure and provide mulch or compost to residents, businesses, schools, and parks. In Daly City and Colma, we're seeing new partnerships to meet procurement targets through increased compost use across city green spaces and new educational campaigns to decrease organics contamination to improve compost quality. In the East and South Bays, jurisdictions plan to use local assistance funding to procure and distribute compost or mulch on local landscapes. They're also implementing education and outreach programs and creating surplus food distribution programs that target underserved communities. 104 jurisdictions could potentially be awarded the second round of awards this fall if they submitted required application documents and adopted an enforceable ordinance by June 14th. Now for an update on the SB 619 process, which offered jurisdictions another pathway to compliance if they submitted their notification of intent to comply with 1383 requirements to CalRecycle by March 1st, and the approved notices allow jurisdictions additional time to comply without facing penalties in 2022 if the jurisdiction implements the compliance actions proposed in the notification. Ashley Yee could not be here today, but she recorded this quick overview on where this SB 619 process stands.
Through the SB 619 process, 129 jurisdictions submitted a notification of intent to comply. You could see right here, CalRecycle has approved well over 100 notifications, and we are waiting for additional information on some of these notifications. Not only do these jurisdictions state how COVID impacted their 1383 implementation, but many noted their lack of equipment like trucks or containers. Next in this process, CalRecycle will contact jurisdictions with approved notifications, and we will start developing their corrective action plans, which will include specific tasks and timelines to correct the identified violation and report progress through established check-ins with CalRecycle.
CalRecycle is working to maximize our ability to assist jurisdictions in compliance with SB 1383 and our diversion laws like AB 939, mandatory commercial recycling, AB 341, mandatory commercial organics recycling, AB 1826, and integrated waste management plans, AB 75. To that end, we're very excited to introduce the newly established Jurisdiction and Agency Compliance and Enforcement Branch, or JACE, within the Waste Permitting Compliance and Mitigation Division. It was formed by combining part of the Local Assistance and Market Development Branch with the Jurisdictional Compliance Unit. This change does not mean your jurisdiction will be losing a LAMD representative. JACE Branch Chief Ashley Yee and LAMD Branch Chief Kara Morgan recorded this message to explain what the reorganization means for jurisdictions.
I am so excited to work alongside Ashley and her team. We are uniting to assist jurisdictions in their efforts to use less, recycle more, and comply with their requirements to implement local programs.
Our branches will work as close partners on local assistance and compliance. Here's what that looks like. In the Jurisdiction and Agency Compliance and Enforcement branch, we will collaborate closely with Kara's team to ensure entity and overall state compliance with California's recycling laws. In addition to evaluating jurisdiction and state agency compliance with these laws, the branch will investigate complaints of alleged violations and also implement enforcement actions as necessary.
The Local Assistance and Market Development branch will work closely with Ashley's team to identify regulated entities that need assistance, provide resources and guidance to jurisdictions to assist them with compliance, assist state agencies, non-local entities, and local education agencies to expand their programs, and develop new tools, peer matching, and serve as a liaison to provide the full suite of CalRecycle resources. If your current LAMD representative is moving to JACE, a new representative will be assigned to you.
We will make those introductions as soon as possible if we have not done so already.
CalRecycle is preparing to roll out new funding opportunities through its Community Composting for Green Spaces grant program. This is the second cycle of the grant program that's designed to increase small-scale community composting programs in green spaces within priority populations. On top of keeping more organic waste out of landfills, these community gardens, urban farms, and other community compost operations help educate residents about the process and benefits of compost. Under the proposed grant criteria and evaluation process under consideration today, eligible applicants include local governments, sanitation agencies, special districts, nonprofits, state agencies, universities, and qualifying tribal entities. All sites must be located in California and ranked based on benefits to disadvantaged or low-income communities. You can find more detailed criteria linked to today's agenda. Staff proposes to award $530,000 to the top scoring projects in each region you see here, with the remaining $510,000 in funding made available to qualifying tribal entities in a separate grant cycle. Please send your comments about the criteria and evaluation process presented today to ghgreductions@calrecycle.ca.gov by July 1st. Next on the agenda is the approval of the California Used Oil Recycling Fund 3-year spending plan. The used oil payment program is funded by a 6-cent per quart fee on lubricating oil sold in California. Funds help support local used oil collection programs for recycling. Used oil fund levels are in decline as electric vehicle usage increases. CalRecycle staff recommends the oil payment program continue to be funded at $6 million per year to extend the life of the fund that supports the local collection programs here in California. And CalRecycle approved 2 recycling market development zone loans to help local businesses transform over 4,000 tons of landfill-bound material into valuable new products. A $3.5 million loan will go to U.S. Rubber Recycling. With new equipment, property upgrades, working capital, and refinancing of onerous debt, the company is expected to turn 500 tons of otherwise landfilled rubber into new products like flooring. The upgrades will also help support 9 new jobs. Another $11 million recycling market development zone loan to PinPac Capital Holdings will go towards new equipment to turn 3,800 tons of PET thermoforms into new packaging containers and support 10 new jobs. Since the start of the RMDZ program, CalRecycle has supported 213 recycling businesses with $175 million in loans to turn old materials into new products and new jobs. CalRecycle anticipates posting the notice to funds available from the next cycle of Farm and Ranch Solid Waste Cleanup and Abatement Grant Program in the coming weeks. Applications will be due in August. And we're always accepting applications for the new greenhouse gas reduction and recycling market development zone loans. Go to calrecycle.ca.gov/funding for a full list of grant and loan programs. I'll turn it back over to Maria.
As a reminder, if you'd like to submit a question or comment on the agenda virtually, please do so through the public comments portal. You can see the instructions there on the screen. Just go to CalRecycle's homepage. From the top menu bar, select News, then Monthly Public Meeting. In the text near the bottom of the page, click Public Comment Portal. Select Monthly Public Meeting to submit your question or comment. We'll address those submissions during the public comment period a little later, and anyone who is in Byron Share today can speak their comment or question into one of our microphones. Now to an update on California's new statewide pharmaceutical and sharps program. The new extended producer responsibility requirements are designed to make it easier for consumers to safely manage their unwanted medication and needle sharps waste used at home. Take a look at this video about what this new program means for Californians.
Prescription drugs and home-use needles, syringes, and lancets save lives, but too often improper storage and disposal of these sharps and pharmaceuticals cause overdose deaths.
Thousands of Californians die from overdoses each year.
Accidental poisonings.
Children and teenagers get into medicine cabinets where people often stockpile old prescriptions.
Needle stick injuries.
Sanitation workers can be exposed to infectious diseases when they get stuck with needles that were improperly disposed.
And contaminated water.
Wastewater treatment plants are not equipped to process medications that are flushed down the toilet.
To save lives and safeguard our precious water, California-made manufacturers responsible for safely managing their products once Californians are done using them.
The 2018 law requires industry to establish, fund, and operate stewardship programs.
With programs in place, Californians will start seeing more collection bins like these at their local pharmacies, hospitals, and other secure public spaces. These bins, along with prepaid mailback options for unused drugs and home-generated sharps, give consumers safe and convenient options to properly discard their medical waste.
If disposal isn't convenient and free and accessible to people, then they may not know how to properly dispose of unused medications or sharps waste.
Strict state oversight ensures industry programs, budgets, and outreach meet California's new requirements.
California was the first state in the nation to pass a stewardship law for both pharmaceuticals and home-generated sharps waste.
A statewide solution complementing a patchwork of local programs to protect our children, safeguard our workers, and keep our water safe to drink by giving consumers safe, free, and convenient ways to discard sharps and pharmaceuticals.
Before we move on, we'd like to read a comment that came in our public comment portal from the Pharmaceutical Product Stewardship Work Group. This comment came from Ann Vogelmar. She said, consideration of Med Project's revised product stewardship plan for home-generated sharps waste, that's quite a mouthful. The Pharmaceutical Product Stewardship Work Group is a membership association with over 600 members and affiliated companies that produce a broad spectrum of pharmaceutical products. PPSWG urges CalRecycle to fully approve the Med Project USA Med Project Sharps Stewardship Plan. PPSWG believes the Med Project Sharp Stewardship Plan complies with applicable SB 212 requirements, including the requirement to provide or initiate distribution of sharps waste containers and mail back materials at the point of sale, and should be approved. PPSWG looks forward to Med Project's successful program implementation in California that provides convenient, safe disposal of pharmaceutical sharps for ultimate users. And for our next topic, we will go back to Zoe.
Thank you, Maria.
I don't know if you wanted to comment, but I can just say thank you for the comments on behalf of the PPSWG. The director's decision will be publicized via CalRecycle's Pharmaceutical and Sharps website and listserv. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. All 5 stewardship plans submitted to CalRecycle have been conditionally approved by the director. Revised plans, annual reports, and annual budgets submitted by stewardship organizations are currently being reviewed by CalRecycle, and program implementation is underway. Today, we have 5 items covering stewardship plans and annual reports for the director's consideration. MedProject is a stewardship organization that represents 200 covered entities under its drugs plan and over 40 covered entities under its sharps plan. MedProject submitted covered drugs and home-generated sharps waste stewardship plans to CalRecycle on September 14, 2021. CalRecycle conditionally approved the plans on December 9, 2021, and MedProject submitted its revised plan to CalRecycle on March 9, 2022. Staff reviewed the revised plans to ensure that MedProject's plans met all of the conditions in the December 2021 requests for approval. Based on this analysis, staff found that MedProject's revised drug plan met all of the conditions in the December request for approval and recommend full approval of that plan. Staff found the revised sharps plan did not quite meet all of the conditions in the December 2021 request for approval. Staff recommend maintaining conditional approval contingent upon MedProject revising and submitting its sharps plan to resolve the issues identified within 60 days. Per statute, MedProject must fully implement both plans by September 5th, 2022, which is 270 days from plan approval. I'm going to turn it over to Maria, who has a public comment specific to this agenda item in MedProject's plans.
Thank you, Zoe. So this comment comes from the Executive Director of MedProject, Michael Van Winkle. MedProject develops, implements, and operates covered drugs and home-generated sharp stewardship plans mandated by ordinances and laws in multiple states and local jurisdictions, including local jurisdictions in the state of California. MedProject supports CalRecycle's approval of the MedProject Covered Drug Stewardship Plan. MedProject looks forward to providing convenient and safe disposal of household covered drugs for ultimate users under its stewardship plan. MedProject urges CalRecycle to approve the MedProject Home-Generated Sharp Stewardship Plans, also known as the Sharps Plan. MedProject believes the Sharps Plan complies with applicable SB 212 requirements, including the requirements to provide or initiate distribution of sharps waste containers and mail-back requirements, or mail-back materials at the point of sale, and should be fully approved. On behalf of its many participating covered entities, MedProject is currently working to implement its sharp stewardship program across the state. MedProject looks forward to providing convenient and safe disposal of household sharps for ultimate users under its sharps plan. Sincerely, Michael R. Van Winkle, Executive Director, MedProject USA. Thank you, Zoe. Back to you.
Yes, thank you for your comment on behalf of MedProject, Mr. Van Winkle. The director's decision will be publicized via the CalRecycle's website and listserv, and we will be considering these comments moving forward. So thank you for submitting them. Okay. The next item for the director's consideration is Ultimed's revised home-generated sharps waste stewardship plan. Ultimed is an individual sharps manufacturer that submitted its proposed sharps stewardship plan to CalRecycle on October 11th, 2021. The plan was conditionally approved by the director on December 27th, 2021, and Ultimed submitted a revised plan on March 27th, 2022. Staff reviewed the revised plan and found that Ultimed's revised sharps plan did not meet all of the conditions in the December 2021 request for approval. Staff recommend that Ultimed's sharp stewardship plan remain conditionally approved, contingent upon Ultimed revising and resubmitting its plan to resolve the issues identified within 60 days. Ultimed must fully implement its plan by September 23rd, 2022, which is 270 days from the initial plan approval. Program operators are required to submit a complete annual report to CalRecycle by March 31st of each year. The final 2 items are Ultimed's 2021 annual report and MedProject's 2021 annual report for home-generated sharps waste. CalRecycle found these annual reports completed on May 2nd, 2022. I'm sorry, we found these annual reports complete on May 2nd, 2022. Staff reviewed the annual reports to determine whether all statutory and regulatory requirements were met and found that both annual reports were substantially compliant. However, some components of both Ultimed's and MedProject Sharp's annual report require additional information and actions for CalRecycle to determine if the annual reports are fully compliant. Therefore, staff recommend conditional approval of both annual reports, contingent upon the program operators revising and resubmitting the annual reports to resolve the issues identified within 60 days of signature on these requests for approvals. Staff's analysis for these 5 items are linked to the public notices on today's agenda. Please subscribe to CalRecycle's Pharmaceutical and Sharps listserv to track the latest updates on these programs. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Zoe. Meeting California's climate and waste reduction goals would not be possible without the hard work of our cities and counties. They're responsible for implementing the local programs to use less, recycle more, and meet state environmental protection standards. CalRecycle is responsible for overseeing how well jurisdictions are implementing these programs. Staff does this by conducting site visits, analyzing documentation through reviews of jurisdictions' annual reports, which include disposal information and self-assessment of their program. CalRecycle conducts more intensive jurisdictional reviews every 2 or 4 years, depending on the jurisdiction's past performance. The department also has the authority to conduct anytime reviews to make sure cities and counties are in compliance with the mandatory commercial recycling and mandatory commercial organics recycling requirements. Unlike 1383, these rules for businesses are for businesses to recycle their organic waste. For jurisdictions that still have regulated businesses not complying, CalRecycle is moving jurisdictions further down the path of enforcement to make sure 100% of covered businesses are have either provided collection service or are issued a waiver. Deputy Director Zoe Heller is back with results of CalRecycle's latest compliance reviews.
Thanks, Maria. CalRecycle has been reviewing each city and county's implementation of mandatory commercial recycling and mandatory commercial organics recycling programs since they were enacted. As part of the anytime review process, affected jurisdictions are submitting a plan to CalRecycle to address actions in a timeline as to how they will ensure that regulated businesses have collection service or are issued a waiver. While most jurisdictions are implementing these programs to cut climate emissions and landfill disposal, this month CalRecycle has identified program gaps for 6 California communities. These jurisdictions are implementing portions of the program, but we're still seeing levels of noncompliance and a failure to demonstrate that all reasonable and feasible efforts are being made to ensure that all regulated commercial businesses have collection service or have been approved for a waiver. We have a full summary of identified program gaps linked to today's agenda, as well as the jurisdiction's plans to address these gaps. Some local solutions include ordinances that specify recycling and organics recycling collection as a mandatory service and includes enforcement provisions. For example, the City of Los Angeles will prepare an ordinance for City Council consideration for approval by winter of 2022. The ordinance supplements the city's existing ordinance and will require mandatory collection service for organics for commercial businesses and place requirements on commercial edible food generators and food recovery organizations and services. All of the jurisdictions will provide mandatory collection service to all covered businesses or issue waivers and education and outreach to non-compliant generators. CalRecycle staff will work closely and monitor these local programs over the next 6 months. If at any time during this period staff finds that any of the jurisdictions has not made adequate progress on implementing the plan that it submitted or has not otherwise addressed its program gaps, then it will be referred to the enforcement branch, which will conduct an independent investigation and consider whether a compliance order should be issued. Jurisdictions that fail to satisfy the conditions of a compliance order may be subject to a fine of up to $10,000 per day. This item is delegated to me for signing. Another item of note, which you can find linked to today's public meeting agenda. CalRecycle is required to review and approve or disapprove each countywide or regional agency integrated waste management plan 5-year review report. San Francisco submitted a 5-year review report that concludes no revisions to the planning documents are necessary at this time, and staff concurs. I have signed this item. I'm going to turn it back over to Maria.
Thanks, Zoe. If local jurisdictions fail to meet state requirements and don't take the necessary steps to get there, the Local Assistance and Market Development Branch may refer them to CalRecycle's Enforcement Branch for further investigation. Deputy Director Mark DeBee joins us now. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you so much. Yes, thank you, Maria. Today we have one enforcement item for consideration, specifically the recommendation that the City of Maywood has completed the terms of a compliance order. The city has waived the public hearing requirement outlined in this compliance order. During the department's 2013 compliance evaluation, the department did find that the city had not adequately implemented its source reduction and recycling element. Programs resulting in the issuance of the compliance order the compliance order. In 2018, the department held a public hearing finding that the city failed to meet the terms of that issued compliance order. As a result, the city was required to pay a one-time penalty of $55,440. $27,700 was due immediately, with the remaining amount held in abeyance until the city complied with the compliance order. Regarding the city's efforts prior to the issuance of the compliance order, program participation by the city residents and businesses was unknown. Through implementation of the compliance order, the city has documented that nearly all residents, multifamily, and business accounts are subscribed to recycling, green waste, and waste collection services. For those businesses that self-haul or utilize third-party recycling services, the city has developed a system of monitoring and tracking to ensure recycling is maintained. Additional program efforts include the construction and demolition debris diversion. The city adopted and implemented an ordinance to track and monitor construction and demolition debris projects for diversion. These efforts follow the California Green Building Standards Code requirements. City recycling efforts ensured city offices and facilities are effectively recycling. These efforts include city staff and contractor participation. City product procurement contains post-consumer recycled content, and that is occurring. Finally, the city's education and outreach efforts have been developed to promote and explain the city's program and how city residents and businesses can access the services to maximize recycling and divert materials being generated. Decisions related to jurisdictional compliance orders are delegated to me, and based on my review of the staff report and supporting documentation, I have found that the City of Maywood has satisfied all of the requirements in the compliance order, has made a good faith effort to implement their source reduction and recycling element programs, and is no longer subject to the amount held in abeyance as stated in the findings of the order. Staff's report and the supporting documentation are posted on our website at the link in the agenda. So moving on to solid waste and tire facilities permits. Paulina Lawrence usually does this item, but she is busy with other meetings. So I have the pleasure of presenting them today. I wanted to let folks know that the department concurred on a revised solid waste facility permit for Glenn County Transfer Station on June 9th. And that transfer station is permit is returned back to the LEA for issuance. New to the agenda is the Tahiga Sanitary Landfill and Resource Center. It's located at 14470 Cali Real in Goleta, Santa Barbara County. It's a modified solid waste facility permit, and the department has until July 16 to make a decision on that permit. The preliminary review by staff of the permit package indicates that the following are proposed. There's going to be an update to the name of the facility, as well as updates to the joint technical document. And there are other documents that describe and restrict the operation of the facility that are being incorporated. The second permit that's in process is for California Waste Recovery Systems, and that is located at 175 Enterprise Court in Sacramento County. It is a modified solid waste facility permit, and action is required by August 16th. Again, an initial review of that package indicates that there is going to be or is a request to remove the maximum daily tonnage limits for recyclables and mixed waste, and the permitted daily tonnage for waste streams will be remaining unchanged. And then there are additional updates to the transfer processing report. Just recently, we received a new item, so it's not posted on the agenda, but I wanted to mention it, and it is posted on our website for additional information. The EDCO station, located at 8184 Commercial Street in La Mesa, San Diego County, is a revised solid waste facility permit, and action is required on that by August 14th. We do have an initial review of it that indicates that the request includes an increase in the maximum tonnage from 1,000 tons per day to 2,000 tons per day, and an increase in the design capacity associated with that tonnage increase from 1,000 tons to 2,000 tons per day. There has been no changes in the status of any of the emergency waivers, so I have nothing to report on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. I just wanted to make one correction and clarification. The California Waste Recovery Systems solid waste, the action on that is actually needed by August 7th. So I wanted to make sure that was clear. Thanks so much, Mark.
Maria, I'll have to correct you too.
Oh, I'm
My
sorry.
update is that we got a different version, and so it is the 16th. I can confirm that. Thank you,
I shouldn't have corrected the deputy director. It was something different in my script. Sorry. So thank you so much, Mark. And before we open it up to public comments, we'd like to remind everyone the agenda items we discussed today by visiting. You can visit the CalRecycle homepage to submit your comments, and select public meetings and click on today's date to download the meeting agenda. We turn now to public comments. Chief Deputy Director Minnie McIntyre may join, but I'll be reading the comments today. Thanks to everyone who participated in I appreciate your patience as I get used to this new format. So the first comment is from Evan Edgar, and it's regarding the SB 1383 procurement of RNG being disrupted by CARB scoping plan update. Mr. Edgar says, we applaud CalRecycle with the $20 million in grants for wastewater/RNG projects and look forward to participating in the $70 million in grants that will be solicited, where both composting and AD/RNG projects will be eligible. Both public and private operators will be deploying the RNG from these projects into transportation fuel with on-site fueling facilities, and for SB 1383 procurement and or used on-site for energy and heat for SB 1383 procurement for bioenergy and heat. Many of these facilities are not near a PUC pipeline, nor do these projects depend on a PUC pipeline, as the RNG is dedicated locally into active circular economy. How is CalRecycle working with CARB on the scoping plan update in securing the RNG for SB 1383 procurement purposes, where CARB plans to squeeze out RNG use before 2030 and thinks that the PUC pipeline and offtake agreements into industrial uses is the market for this RNG? Apologies, I'm not sure that makes sense. The CARB scoping plan, policies, and programs will be disrupting this cost-effective, active, organic, circular economy to pivot to a global linear economy where RNG could be piped away to off-site industrial uses, and the public and private fleet would be forced to use ZEV batteries that dig up the Congo with child labor and export to China for manufacturing, then purchased in California without controls over responsible sourcing. A verified carbon footprint that is not 0 for ZEVs, but is 20 to 80 on the CARB scale. Without an end-of-life battery recycling program. CalRecycle's quest to support the circular economy would have CalRecycle weigh in on the scoping plan update on allowing RNG to continue to be used in their public and private fleets and facilities, and to consider SB 1383 procurement. That would be excellent. Thank you.
I would like to thank Mr. Edgar for his continued engagement with CalRecycle and the California Air Resources Board. As one Cal EPA, we work together with our sister agencies, that includes CARB and the Water Board, in implementation of both 1383 and 1826, as well as all of our other programs where we have overlap. CalRecycle staff has been in ongoing conversations with CARB in the development of the scoping plan, in implementation of previous scoping plans, and we'll continue our work together as one Cal EPA in implementation of the current scoping plan. So just to assure all of our stakeholders that CalRecycle and the California Air Resources Board work together to achieve our mutual goals, as well as the requirements in each and every one of our pieces of legislation. And as discussed in our previous meeting and other discussions, the scoping plan forum is really within the Air Resources Board's public meetings. So all of the stakeholders that are a part of that process can be part of the conversation around the scoping plan. So do want to assure all of our stakeholders that we are in conversations with our partners at the board, with both board members and the leadership over the scoping plan and climate policy at the Air Board, as well as the Secretary's office that is very, very engaged in 1383 implementation, as well as obviously the scoping plan. So thank you to Mr. Edgar for his ongoing engagement and for his comment, and we will continue our work together.
Thank you so much, Rachel. So the next comment comes from Ms. Cicely Stewart, and her organization is Full Circle Compost, Move the World. The subject is the proposed eligibility criteria for Green Spaces Fund / Community Composters. Ms. Stewart writes, I question the eligibility criteria for funding for the new CalRecycle Green Spaces / Community Composters grant as being spread equally over regions, even though population numbers which directly create food waste are vastly concentrated in LA, Orange County, and Ventura. 4 million versus 3 million in others. Please comment on this lack of equity, and why are these counties lumped together? Also, since the grant is reimbursed funds, it will be hard for small orgs to sustain the investment prior to being repaid. Is there a way around this?
I'm happy to take that, Maria.
Sure, Zoe was prepped too, if you'd like.
So I'm happy to take that. So we have a number of grant programs, as we've gone through today and as is posted on our website, for implementation of organics recycling programs. And with the community composting program in this grant cycle, we've made a determination that we want to make sure that we have communities across the state that are engaged in this, and that in regions of the state that have not previously had organizations that were picked to receive grants, that they receive grant funding as well. Part of the importance of community organics recycling is the education that comes with that and how that spreads across the community and the region when those organics programs are implemented. And so it is really important that we find a way in this grant cycle to engage communities and regions that hadn't previously been engaged. And so the decision was made to break it down more regionally as opposed to by population for this grant cycle. Additionally, on the question about reimbursement, this is a requirement of state law that grant funds be on a reimbursement basis so that we can verify that the expenditures are consistent and compliant with the statutory requirements of the grant funds, meaning we need to see what the money is being spent for before it can be spent. We recognize that this is very, very challenging for small organizations, as does the state legislature, but we have to be granted specific authority from the state legislature in order to give funds up front. And then again, that makes it far more difficult to verify those expenditures, and it has to be done in a way that that can be done. So in future grant programs, we are hoping to get statutory authority for some amount of money with startups for especially these smaller grants and these community type grants, but it is even then challenging because those verification of expenditures need to be in place in order for us to do so.
Thank you, Rachel. The next comment comes from Mr. Leonard Lang, and it's regarding the beverage container recycling program enforcement. Mr. Lang writes, having read dozens of enforcement actions, I've noticed that when the DOJ, Department of Justice, conducts surveillance of importers, they don't inform the recyclers when the material is presented to numerous recyclers. Why do they allow these importers to defraud the recyclers and cause a loss to the fund? And today, our Deputy Director for the Beverage Container Recycling Program, Amy Cameron, is here to respond to that. Hi, Amy.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for your comment, Mr. Lang. I believe the work we do in collaboration with DOJ is in the best interest of protecting the fund long-term. I am not able to comment on law enforcement investigation techniques at this time, but thank you for your participation. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Amy. The next comment comes from Kirk Kanehiro. The organization is Long Beach Community Compost, and Mr. Kanehiro says, my name is Kirk Kanehiro. I'm an organizer with Long Beach Community Compost here in Southern California. We were thrilled to have been selected as a CCGS site in the first round of fundings and are very appreciative of the support we've received thus far. We would like to comment about our concerns regarding the proposed method of funds distribution with this next round of funding. Specifically, we are concerned that many of the smaller sites like ours that don't have capital to cover upfront costs won't be able to benefit from reimbursable funding, as well as the distribution of funds is indeed equal between the 8 regions. It is not equitable. The Los Angeles region, with a high concentration of existing CCGS sites, has nearly the same population as all the regions combined besides the SF Bay Area. Yet we will receive the same amount of funding as the Central Sierra region, which has a fraction of the population. The program's stated intention is for the grant funds to reach underserved communities, which make up a large portion of the population of the LA region. The proposed funding mechanism will lead to too little funds where the need is highest. All that said, we would like a response to the following questions. What is the rationale behind changing to funds administration from a statewide to a regional basis? And what is the rationale behind the distribution of funds equally to the 8 different regions despite massive differences in population and needs? Thank you for your time.
So I think with the previous comment, I addressed that, but I will quickly address that again. Obviously, the issue around reimbursement, I addressed with the comment around the statutory requirements. And again, the rationale really was to start to engage some of the communities and regions of the state that have not previously been able to access this program with this particular round of grants, and that we really want to spread the education and outreach associated with a community program like this not by population, but really by reaching the entirety of the state. And so for this particular round of grants, we are trying to engage those communities overall that have not previously been engaged with this program.
Thank you, Rachel. The next question is regarding, it looks like the same issue, so it's rather lengthy.
So we will submit that to the public record, but if we've got the question already answered, let's move on. We probably have a couple of comments around the same issue.
Absolutely. No problem. So the next comment then is from Shane Petquitz. I apologize if I got your name pronunciation incorrect, from Energia. And he writes, Dear CalRecycle, Energia submits these comments to support the approval of the City of Los Angeles's plan to prepare and approve an ordinance by winter 2022. Energia develops organics processing facilities that divert organics from landfill and convert them into carbon negative renewable energy and soil amendments. Energia's Rialto bioenergy facility serves as an outlet to approximately 40% of Los Angeles's commercial organics and is strategically situated to assist Los Angeles with its SB 1383 goals. Drafting and approving an ordinance as quickly as possible is critical to ensure that Los Angeles's goals for SB 1383 are met. Thank you, Shane Petskowitz. Thank you for your comment. We appreciate your support of the city's MORE plan. And let's see, the next comment is from Michael Martinez. It's also regarding the LA compost. And it looks like it's essentially about the same topic. So again, we can submit this for the public record, and the director has asked and has answered this question. The next comment comes from Susan Collins from the Container Recycling Institute, and it's regarding the plastic recycled content de minimis provision. Ms. Collins writes, we've spoken with CalRecycle about the problem with statutory language in AB 793, the recycled content law. The de minimis provision is flawed, and as a result, all the beverage manufacturers will soon be exempt from the law. What is the update on how CalRecycle is working with the legislature to address and correct this fatal flaw in the law? We thank you for your comment, Ms. Collins,
we are, as we've discussed with Ms. Collins before, aware of the concerns around the specific statutory language, and our understanding is that the legislature is also aware of the statutory language, and we are prepared to provide technical assistance to the legislature should they want to make changes to that statute or any other statute within our jurisdiction. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next, it looks like at this point, final comment comes from Eric Blackburn from the U.S. Department of Energy CHP Technical Assistance Partnership. And the subject is no-cost technical assistance for combined heat and power assessments. Mr. Blackburn states, I wanted to inform jurisdictions considering RNG/bioenergy procurement routes for SB 1383 compliance to know that the U.S. DOE's Western CHP TAP is available for no-cost technical assistance. This technical assistance covers basic first-cut screenings of waste streams to energy via CHP, as well as more advanced technical screenings to prepare for requests for proposal and reviews of third-party proposals. More information can be found at CHPTAP. It looks like it's wchptap.org. There's a long link that we will put into the record, he also states, we look forward to providing our no-cost services to California jurisdictions. And that appears to be the final comment for today. Thanks to
Do we want to see if anybody in the...
Oh, does anybody here have any comments? And
came all the way to join us.
thanks for your patience with my awkwardness as we get used to this. Go ahead. You can walk up to the mic.
Hi, my name is Shira Lane. I'm with the Atrium. We're a creative innovation center for sustainability here in Sacramento. I was just wondering in terms of I have a bunch of questions, but this one is in particular for the composting. For eligibility, I didn't see schools in there, and I was wondering if there's a reason for that, because I think that's a great opportunity for education and helping schools and really educate the next generation. Thank you.
Maybe is Zoe available? I believe that school campuses are eligible sites for the community composting, but I don't believe that we had in this particular grant fund a specific carve out for education. But it is something. Appreciate the comment.
Yeah, that's correct, Rachel. Schools can certainly be sites where the compost and community gardens happen. They just are not eligible for the funding stream, but we can get back to you with more details on that as well.
Were there any other comments in the gallery? Okay. So now I can end it. Thanks to everyone again who participated in the public meeting today. We hope you enjoyed the new format designed to make communication accessible, inclusive, and as relevant to the California public as possible. We welcome your feedback through the public comment portal. Have a great rest of your morning and your week, and we will see you next month.
And Maria, if I could just say one thing, thank you to those of you who ventured out and joined us in person today, but very excited that we have launched our first hybrid public meeting, and what I really think as we are moving into the future of the state of California, able to accommodate in-person meetings as well as people from all over the state of California engaging with the department in this important public forum. So thank you for those of you who joined us in person, and thank you for those of you that are out in the virtual world. Again, really excited to bring the new version of CalRecycle's public meeting. Have a great rest of your month, everybody.
Thank you.